This is the last of the peas. I'll just shell it and use the peas in the recipe. Hello and welcome to my channel, Lady Green Thumb 2. It's the 29th of May and this will be the last vlog for this month. It's been really nice to do the progress of what I've done over the last week or so. So I got to the garden and Leticia was here. I was able to give her the tincture in person, which was very nice, along with some other goodies. She just went out. I'm going to turn you around to show you the garden and what I was able to discuss with her. She actually was cleaning up and taking the bin right over here. She emptied it out and is taking it out to dispose. And I quickly went through mulching and she said she'd be fine with me doing some of that if I can get to it on this side here. And the tomatillo plant, by the way, it looks a little weathered, but it's because of transplant shock. I'll have to just water that in. The habanero didn't do too well. The smaller one is okay, but the larger one is not. So hopefully that revives. We discussed some other items on the other side there. So Leticia is about to leave soon. She has been here for a little while and she did collect some goodies to take home. I was so happy that I got to see her today. So here's a basket I bought from home. I have two hats, but it's an overcast day and it's supposed to be a little cooler, so today's a perfect day to be gardening. I bought this mesh bag to cover one of the sunflower heads that I'm collecting seed for. I might harvest some squash blossoms, by the way. I bought this from a farmer's market and it was $4.50 for, I think, about 6 of the squash blossoms with the squash at the end. I'll plug a picture here if I can find one so you can see. I'm lucky that I'll be able to get this from the garden. Leticia just headed out and I quickly harvested some mint from this spot here. I'm going to be renaming these rows, at least the letters of it, by the way, with since when entering the enclosure here from this side where the bin is, this is the right side, and I'm going to rename it to R for right and work my way down until I get to the middle row here, which will then be M, maybe M1 and M2 here, and then continue on this way, which will be the left side, and start with maybe number 1 over where the sunflowers are and work my way, numbering it up until the middle row. And Leticia thought that was a great idea, so just some information or background as to why that was decided. One other thing that I plan to do today is harvest a few things, including a zucchini that I'm going to make a brownie with, and eggplant, maybe calendula and nasturtium, because I forgot to harvest the nasturtium yesterday. Some Kalima beans, because there's quite a few on it. Leticia had mentioned that she already had quite a few veggies in her icebox or her fridge. I'll be picking that so more can produce will come on. Oh, I see some shishito peppers here that are ready, and I'll go ahead and pick that and blister it up to go with an Asian meal sometime in the next week or so. The next time I come to the garden, I'll probably pick tomatoes because they'll be blushing for sure much more. There's a couple that I see that are already blushing, so they will be vine ripened for the most part. And then the zinnia here, I might prune that so other buds can form and the plant can focus its energy on doing that rather than creating the seeds. Also, all the vines, I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but I will train them to go on any trellising that I have up. One other thing that I did discuss with Leticia is this area here. Her plan is to put peas up here in the fall. So I'm hoping that everything here will be done. For the most part, I think the cucumbers will be done. The melon on this side here might not be, but we'll do succession sowing, so we're not harvesting everything at once. Got done filling all the holes that were dug to trap gophers, and I got the dirt from outside here. I'll get a close-up. I used the bin, took a few rounds to fill everything, and I noticed that the Lisianthus on this side actually bloomed, so this is very good that at least one has come up. I think this, I had bought a pink and then a white one on the other end of this row, but that one looks completely torched. I did trellis some vines to go onto their support. As I was walking past it, I see that I need to still do quite a few. I did set up the sprinkler for about 15-20 minutes on this side because the soil looked pretty dry, and I thought just giving it a little bit of top watering would be a nice thing. And I'll do the same on the other side, the L side, because the soil surface is pretty dry. I'm not sure if it's the right thing to do. It is kind of an overcast day, but I think it will help to moisten the surface and settle in those holes where I had placed the dirt. I did cover up the sunflower, by the way, and next up is setting up the sprinkler on this side. I'll probably just hand water these rows if it does not reach. I just had to make sure that the sprinkler was not getting any of my things wet by the potting bench over there. It's almost noon and I'm expecting family to come by to visit the gardens. So I am going to pick some vegetables. I'll show the basket here maybe after it's done, but I want them to take it home and put it in a cool place so that when I get home, which will be a little bit later, I can preserve it or take care of putting it in the fridge or having it some of it for lunch. So I'll turn you around and show you what all was done today so far, and then add anything else that I need to. I've already covered these rows here, but I'm going to rename these to R on this side here, which is the right side of the garden. And apparently there's 9 rows, and I covered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 rows already in prior vlogs for this month. So if you want to see that, please go ahead and check the playlist. Starting with this row here, which is R7. Most of this was flowers, and I believe it still is. I'm going to walk over to the other side, but before I forget, Leticia did remove all the snapdragons, except for one on that side. I'm working still on that to remove it. I'm doing some chop and drop, and then I decided that I don't want to chop and drop the seeded parts or the flowers that have gone to seed, so I'm doing the bottom part. So coming back to this row here, R7, these are zinnias. I'm going to prune that. More zinnias here throughout, and then marigolds. And I usually deadhead them, which is what that means is that, see, this one is almost done with its bloom, and I just take it off so that the plant can focus its energy on the rest of the blooms that are still somewhat opening or closed, and keep the other ones vibrant until I'm ready to do it again. So it's a cycle. So this one I can take off as well, and this, just an example. So there's about, I think, 3 or 4 plants in this area here. And yes, this is just the row of flowers. Probably will put sweet potato in here once I get it to root. I started that at home. I think I mentioned that I harvested slips of a Japanese type potato on that side over there, which we'll call left. So the tomatillo plant looks to be doing pretty good. It was in a bit of a shock, transplant shock. You can tell the dead leaves or dried leaves at the bottom, but I think it will do okay. Another thing can be said about the habanero. That was probably a mistake to separate the roots because there were two plants in it. So definitely don't do as I do. Do as I say. It's best just to keep the plants in and loosen the roots and just plant it or get a transplant that's not so big or so root bound. Continuing on to row 8, this is the artichoke plant that I did put mushroom compost on. So that's looking really good. You can tell that it's grown, so that water, that's enough water for it. And I did set the hose here on sprinkler just to wet the ground. And I thought about it further, and it's probably a good idea I did, because I did apply worm castings wherever I could, so that got to soak in a little bit. So this is the tomatillo in row 8 on the right side. I'm hoping that this thing does its job, but we can get to that when we show you the flowers up close. And then this is somebody else's row. So they have peppers, and it looks like they did come by to harvest one or two. This is potato over here, and it's been healed. I've noticed throughout the month or so, whenever I've come, there's something, it looks like some work has been done here. So this is a good thing that they're healing it, just so that the potatoes are not exposed to the sun, because then they can get green, which is somewhat toxic if you eat it in excess. Row 9 now. This is right here a lavender, and I have been deadheading the flowers so that it puts up new branching, and it looks like it's working. So I, for example, did snip it over here, and now we have not just two, but maybe multiple down the stem. Kale, which Leticia was saying that she noticed bug damage, but I don't see as much. But if there is, that's pretty, oh, that's okay, because then it would act as a trap crop and keep the bugs away from things that we want a harvest, truly want to harvest from. And then this is a tomato, a cherry type tomato. We thought that it was a tomatillo plant, but it turned out to not be. I'm pretty sure the labeling was wrong from the big box store, and that's why good thing we figured it out now, because I ended up getting this tomatillo plant. And closer look, here's a branching that did go through some transplant shock, but flowers are forming, so hopefully the bees do their job. I was thinking of self-pollinating with a Q-tip between the two plants here, but I think I'll wait for a little bit because there's only 2 flowers on here. I'll see. Okay, so I'm going to move over to the other end so that it's keeping track of where I'm at. This is the middle area, so this will be, let's say, M1 and M2. Hopefully I don't change things. Starting with M1. Now this is a great garden sign. It says, advice from our garden: cultivate lasting friendship, sow seeds of kindness, listen to sage advice, don't let the little things bug you, be outstanding in your field, take time for yourself, no vining. And I like how it's incorporated gardening words in there. So here we have one of the lemongrass that survived. You can clearly see that the middle part is growing green in there, and then there's a side branching there or shoot. And then this is a cucumber. I believe it's the China jade. So it started to vine, and I've been training this up as well. flowers on it. So hopefully we get some cucumbers. I just see male flowers. Again, check out my prior video on what that means if you would like. I might just cover it here. This is the Spanish type melon. I have one here, one over here that is pretty large, and then a baby one in the middle. So I might remove that because a lot of plants for this area, and I think this melon gets pretty large. Also, Leticia wants to put peas up, so I don't want to create a whole trellis of vines. Maybe keep it a little bit more open where I can. And then this is the tromboncino, which looks amazing. There's a male flower in there. That's encouraging. There's lots of female flowers. This is a flower head, by the way, right here. At the end of it, if you see something that resembles the fruit or the vegetables, that is a female. So the male flowers usually come in typically on plants or vines, and then the females come later. Hopefully we'll get more male flowers for these females to pollinate once they open up their bud. So there's more here, one over here. So it's going up the trellis very nicely here. So I'm just going to put this into that area just so that it's not so scrunched up. This is cucumber here, and Leticia did harvest one or two the other day, and she was looking for some today, and they're still small, and I kind of opened things up here, part of pruning, just so that there's a little bit of airflow. These seem to be very compact cucumbers. So this is an example of not good pollination. See how it's starting to discolor to a yellow? So pollination quite didn't happen here, and that is properly. And opening it up, hopefully the bees will able to find the flowers, vibrant yellow. I've turned myself around here, and this continues with the bush type of cucumber. And then there's another cucumber or two on this side. There's two stems, 1 and 2. And this seems to be more of a branching type and not so compact. But I've been training the vines again to either go up the trellis. Eventually, this will be going all over the place. But that's okay. Until I'm here, I'll do it. So that is M2. Oh, I forgot to mention that this is either a Spanish melon or a cucumber. I just can't remember, but it's not created one of these vines, or I forget what it's called. It'll come to me. It's doing really well, and I'm hoping that it's a cucumber because it would be nice to have them in succession. Succession means that once these ones here, the more compact ones, die back, we'll have cucumbers throughout the season in succession, so we're not so tired of eating cucumber all at once. It'll be a different variety, so that would be very nice. Okay, I think I've covered everything here in M2. I'm on the left side now, and on this side there are 10 rows. So I'll begin with this one here. As I mentioned, I am going to chop and drop this till where the seed pods begin, just so that they don't spread on the ground. Clearly see that I've done it right here and right here. These sunflowers in, I'll say L1, I'm going to start counting from this end. There's one that's still in the process of blooming. Doesn't that look beautiful? This one here, we're collecting for seed. It's tagged, so anyone coming into the garden knows. And then I had this garlic bag from Costco. It's tied it up over there. So there's this one flower head here too that is spent, and I think we'll just leave that on. I'll see if I can harvest the seeds. Maybe I'll roast them up. I have a parrot. I'm sure she would love that. The wildflowers here are doing really good. Where I was working, I did weed, by the way. There were quite a few weeds in around here, and I still have a little bit more to do. Leticia did quite a bit before she left. Also, there was some weeds on the outside of the perimeter here, and I took care of that. Here's an area where there was a mound, not a mound, a hole. So I covered that up So that is L1. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to finish up the rows on the left side here. My device has overheated, so I'll go through all that was harvested, and once I get home, I'll show maybe a final clip of all that was done or collected from the garden. It's been an hour and a half since I got home and I laid everything out here. I'll be cleaning most of these vegetables and preserving it or adding as a side to dinner. So what we have here is the eggplant, zucchini that I said I'm going to be making a recipe of, if not already mentioned. It's going to be a brownie with zucchini, and then a golden beet, a cylindra beet here. I need to put this in the fridge soon. And then I did snip off the seed top for this onion, accidentally passing the row, and I decided just to pull it out and bring it home. 2 apricots. These are the last 2. Can't wait to eat those. Tomatoes that were blushing or completely red. These ones here were on the ground because they happened to fall, get it detached from their plant because I was probably working along the rows. This is the last of the peas. I'll just shell it and use the peas in the recipe. Beans, a lot more than the last time. I think I only had 3. Calendula, I noticed that there's very small bugs in it, so it needs to be washed very well. By the way, I've learned over the years that harvesting vegetables, especially in the heat, which is not advised, causes condensation, like you see here. I'll get to that later, what's in there. Usually I lay it out in my basket, which I just unpacked onto the counter here, but I leave it out for at least 2 hours before I pack it up. Calendula, I'll be drying that. Maybe I'll add it to salad if I intend to have it soon. And then shishito peppers here, a lonely serrano. It's already kind of dry, so that's why I picked it, to allow the plants to produce more. And then I think this is a type of jalapeno. It was labeled that way, and I got this from a nursery close to home. Flowers, I picked last minute these zinnias. It's so beautiful. Lisianthus, I'm not sure what this purple flower is called, but I stuck it in this mason jar just with the sweet potatoes until I get to putting it in its own vase. This is squash. I'll add a picture here of what I got from the farmer's market. I'll turn it around here too, but essentially I picked my own from the garden, and there's so many more that are coming out, so really not sacrificing anything. In fact, just picking it this way, it ensures that nothing gets too large, and there's so many more coming on, so this is actually a great thing. Probably will saute it up and enjoy it that way with salt, pepper, and olive oil. And then these are seeds that were dropped off by another gardener at the garden. Leticia had spoken to the gardener, and they had offered to harvest some seeds from their plot to share with her. These will need to be planted sometime in October, so I am holding on to this until I see her next. I believe that is everything that was harvested today. And I'd like to end this video with happy gardening.